The voice of sharing, Durian ASEAN.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. And you're with me, Gauri, today on a Thursday morning, and I'm here on our ASEAN Daily segment to bring you more news from all over Southeast Asia, as well as some important headlines as well from other parts of the world. And I hope all of you are having a good day today. It's a Thursday, and one more day to the weekend. I'm sure everyone out there is excited. It's always exciting when it comes to Thursdays because the next day is Friday. And moving on to our news for today. We're going to start off with a little earthquake that happened in the Sulu Sea, and these tremors from an earthquake were actually felt in several areas in Sabah yesterday, prompting the evacuation of the Sandakan Municipal Council MPS building. And the earthquake actually measured 5.6 on the Richter scale. It occurred about 9:30 in the morning and in the Philippines, according to the Malaysian Meteorological Services Department. And the tremors were also felt in Kinabatangan, in Lahad Datu, Kuna, Semporna, and Tawau. About 200 people who were in Wisma MPS rushed out of the building after it began shaking about 9:30 a.m. So earthquakes are always a very scary thing, although we don't get them that much over here in Malaysia, but still every now and then we tend to feel the tremors because of a bounce back, what happens in Philippines, or sometimes what happens in Indonesia, in Aceh, in Sumatra. And it's good that no casualties were reported, and everybody is fine, so no worries. We'll keep you updated on that story as well if there's anything new. And another rare incident is a little shooting that happened in South Korea, and it seems a gunman has opened fire and he killed 3 people at a local convenience store in South Korea in the Sejong city. And the shooting happened about 8 o'clock and in an administrative hub about 120 kilometers from Seoul. And what's interesting about this news is when it comes to South Korea, gun crime is actually very, very rare. In fact, we can go on to say that it's extremely rare, and most men do have a certain experience when it comes to handling weapons, but that's only because of their compulsory military service. But as of now, private ownership of gun is still banned in South Korea, and you can only carry a gun if you are a police or you're a security guard in the mall or wherever that you're stationed. And the police said the suspect has somehow retrieved 2 shotguns from a police station 2 hours before the shooting. And the young man, who was actually struggling to adapt to his military life, was subsequently sentenced to death. And this is another shocking news. Like I just mentioned earlier, gun shootings are very rare in South Korea, and when it happens, it is very, very scary and very shocking as well. And he killed 3 people while he's at it, and hopefully the police are more careful with whoever comes to the police station and when they're leaving as well, to do a more thorough check on them, because this guy actually got his weapons from the police station itself. And speaking of guns and threats, we will talk about the IS, of course, the Islamic State militants. And Southeast Asia as a whole has been trying very hard to curb the whole ISIS problem in the region, whether it's Indonesia, Philippines, even Cambodia has stepped in, Singapore, Malaysia, and of course we take this very, very seriously in in the country, especially in Malaysia, where we nearly had a 14-year-old girl who was about to fly to Syria to join the Islamic militants last week. And it's a good thing that she was stopped and she was restrained by the authorities. But of course, this is a hypothetical situation of what would have happened if she actually had boarded the plane and gone to Syria via Turkey, and she would actually have been the 8th and the youngest Malaysian female to join the ranks of the Islamic militants. And although we have been trying to come up with a lot of steps, our Prime Minister Najib Razak said that we should have a new anti-terrorism law that would enable the government to deal with the spread of IS activities. And a lot of other countries, like I just mentioned, have also come up with their steps, but it seems the ISIS effect is actually pretty strong in this region, and they have somehow been successful in manipulating or sort of brainwashing the Muslims here. The young ones, the old ones, there is no age limit to this really. And it seems they are also proposing a new anti-terrorism bill that has been drafted and is expected to be tabled during the next session of Parliament in March. And this will have very strong preventive measures and be tougher. And the suspects can be remanded to up to 28 days before being charged. And one key area here that we have to really look at is cyberspace, because most of the time when ISIS are trying to get their message across, trying to spread their propaganda, trying to convince people, it's always done through social media. And if we were to curb this problem, it's not enough to just have laws or to just arrest and remand people. We have to actually go down to the root of it all and tackle the problem at the cyberspace level to properly guard the internet, to have a more advanced monitoring system. And yes, of course, the IGP has actually come up to say that parents should be monitoring their children's activities, but it has to be a collective effort. It's not just also about the government, it's not just about the law, it's not just about the parents. Everyone has to work together if we are really to do something about this. And the religious authorities also said that we can start by correcting misunderstandings immediately online, and also some of the ways is to give lectures via television, and also what they can do is to give sermons during the prayer times. And hopefully this will be a step forward. It's a baby step, but hopefully we keep moving forward and work together as one community, whether it's Malaysia or ASEAN as a whole, to put a stop to this, because it's getting very, very worrying. So we are gonna take a short break, and when I come back, I will bring you more news from Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello and welcome back to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing here with Gauri on a Thursday morning, and I'm here to bring you more news from all over Southeast Asia. And we will be moving on to something just a little rough, and it seems that the Myanmar rebel leader denies the Chinese citizens fighting with him. So we know that there's been a lot of ethnic clashes in Myanmar recently, starting from last weekend even. All these clashes, and a lot of people end up being killed. They even came up to announce an emergency because of what's been happening in the country, especially in the Kokang region. And there's also been some theories in this case where they are saying that the Chinese might actually be involved in this whole Myanmar clashes thing. But it seems China has also refuted that, saying that it's very unlikely that any Chinese citizens are involved in what's happening in Myanmar at the moment. So what's going on here is that the ethnic Chinese leader of a group of Myanmar rebels, which has been engaged in renewed fighting with the government, has denied an interview with the Chinese paper that he has been receiving any help from Chinese citizens or the mercenaries. And this whole thing is actually led by a Chinese commander who is called Peng Jiasheng, and the MNDAA struck a truce with the government, that's the party under him, and it seems that lasted up until 2009 when the government troops took over the Kokang region in a conflict that pushed tens of thousands of refugees into China. And he also added that ever since the 2009 incident, Kokang side has strictly forbidden any Chinese citizens from entering and joining the MNDAA. And of course, this is according to Peng, who said it in a phone interview. But because of also China has been trying to actually sort of play a role in what's happening in Myanmar at the moment, we have reported a couple of news as well saying that China is actually looking forward to step in and help Myanmar with all the clashes that's happening. And because of also how the borders are so close, and China is a bit insecure about whether or not these clashes could actually sort of seep in through the border into the Chinese province and cause troubles there. And that won't come as a surprise if China is actually being proactive in this matter to step in and to help Myanmar with all the battle and killings that's going on in the country. And Peng also said that what's important is that as soon as Chinese law enforcement agencies discovered that on their side the Chinese citizens are joining the battle, they would give an enormous pressure, which is why Chinese citizens are not allowed to join or not allowed to fight. But that seems to be their principle, that they do not accept any Chinese citizens. So Peng is very clear here when he says that no Chinese citizens at all are involved. But China, on the other hand, have been trying to help out Myanmar in this case. And this conflict would actually, just to give you a little background, happened since Myanmar's semi-civilian government, which took power in 2011, 49 years after military rule. And of course it's seeking to end all hostilities, and many groups have taken arms since the independence in 1948. And also these clashes, like I mentioned, have alarmed China because they're bordering each other, which of course fears an influx of fleeing violence. So hopefully China will continue helping, but at the same time make sure that its citizens do not go in and engage in the fighting that's happening in Myanmar at the moment. And also going back to what's happening with ISIS, it's a breaking news. It seems Islamic State militants have abducted at least 150 Christians, and this happened at the Assyrian Christian villages in northeastern Syria. And they have verified at least 150 people who have been abducted from sources on the ground. And the earlier British-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said that 90 of them were abducted when the militants carried out these dawn raids on rural villages, especially that it's inhabited by the ancient Christian minority on the west of Hasaka. And the thing is, the Islamic State have not actually confirmed any of the killings. They have not denied it either. But a lot of the supporters have started posting photos online of the group fighters, especially in their camouflage attire, looking at the maps, looking at the guns, and this most of these Assyrian Christians have also emigrated in the almost 4-year-long conflict, which has saw about 200,000 people being killed. And the military experts, of course, are being pressured at the moment and to find out if these people were really kidnapped by the Islamic State, because as of now it's still only an allegation. And Islamic State also seems to be losing in several areas, so they are trying to wage an attack somewhere new. And the families of the victims are actually coming to Hasaka seeking safety from the Islamic State. And also another little update is about 7 people who are dead as Abu Sayyaf and his military special forces clash in Sulu. And this was confirmed by Captain Maria Rowena Muyuela, who is the spokesperson of military's Western Mindanao Command, or Westmincom. And she said that 9 soldiers and 14 gunmen were also wounded in the firefight between the bandits and elements of the 1st Scout Ranger Battalion. And as of now, the gun battle is still raging in Barangay Tanum in the Patikul town. And Muyuela said that the movement of the group is of course being checked because of the large number of gunmen who are involved. And she is in charge of this whole operation, and she is trying her best to get the military and the police coordinated, also to bring the local government in to make sure that there will be no collateral damage and they can sort out the issue efficiently. And on February 5, just to go back a little bit, 15 Abu Sayyaf bandits were actually reportedly killed in the clashes, also at the same place in Patikul. And the clash continued from then up until now, where we have 13 soldiers, including a junior officer who is wounded. And Malaysia as well has expressed that they are concerned about what's going on, especially because of the term Islamic Jihad that has been used. And southern Philippines, in southern Thailand, it seems it's really spreading to this region as well. And the 2 areas are also the major fronts of Islamization. And of course, to conclude this, hopefully the government, the Philippines, Malaysia will work together and come up, negotiate some peace with all these different groups with different agendas in the region. And I'll be taking another short break. When we come back, a few more news on Asia and ASEAN as well.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello and welcome back to Duran ASEAN. You're with Gauri on our ASEAN Daily, where I bring you news from all over Southeast Asia. And just to share with you the need for a new maritime organization in Asia. There's been a lot of call for this, of course, since last year with what happened with China, how they were extending their territories into some parts of the Philippines, and also they had a little feud with Vietnam as well, and which is why they have decided that we need to actually have a proper maritime organization in Asia, which we do not have. And it's very tricky because we are talking about a total of 10 countries in this region, and not all of them have access to the sea, to the economics of that. But with China coming in and exerting its authority to all these other countries, and of course this brings a lot of consequences as well, like in the case of Philippines, when the US actually had to step in and sign an agreement with them to sort of intimidate the Chinese. And this collection of all 10 countries to pool their resources together and to come up with a one maybe we can call it the security community or even a security alliance would definitely be a good step in a step forward to curb this problem, an impressive force, and also the aggression of the whole South China Sea issue. And South China Sea also particularly requires the effort of ASEAN itself, and it's not just about Vietnam, it's not just about Philippines. We want all the countries to come together as ASEAN and tackle the problem and talk to China about it, because at the end of the day it affects all of us if we have outside powers coming in and intervening with what's happening in this region. And apart from that, we also have another goal which is highlighted here, which is to prevent and manage existing maritime disputes between these countries, and also enacting confidence building measures. Like I mentioned earlier, we don't have that much experience in handling crises like this. And more often than not, we tend to turn to the outside countries outside of ASEAN for help in the case of Philippines, where they actually got the United States to come in, and in order to do away with outside powers coming in, which is why it's even more important for us now more than ever to have a new maritime organization, so there will be a proper way or a proper framework to address all these maritime disputes, instead of just threatening each other with China, with Vietnam, with Philippines, and actually have a framework where they can actually sit down and talk about it and come up with a better solution or conclusion to this problem. And that's all the time that we have for today. If you have any feedback, please leave it on our Facebook page. We also have a Twitter page, Instagram, and you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the daily podcasts. And also don't forget to download our TuneIn app on your smartphone and look for Durian ASEAN to listen to us. And this is Gauri. We will see you in a bit later for our Durian Heat. So stay tuned to durianasean.com.